guys.
Hello.
Oh, Max is back, as you tell.
Hold on.
You guys want to hear about this movie I just fucking watched?
No.
I did the thing. I spun the wheel. I picked a movie. This one was easier to get to than the last one.
Well, you owned the last one, though, Bryce.
Yeah, but that was a big ordeal to get a DVD player to work. But this one was fine. It was just on Hulu. Just so you guys are aware, this movie is rated TVMA, so it's very mature.
Ah, softcore porn.
Yeah, it's so mature that it had to tell me twice. It had one screen telling me it was mature, and then it cut to black, and then went to another screen telling me it's rated mature. The movie opens with a general guy, from one of the armed forces, standing in front of a huge American flag. He's talking at a podium at a bunch of armed forces members. I say armed forces and not one particular branch because the seal they show is generic armed forces seal. I looked it up. Okay. That's not a thing. There's no just general armed forces.
What do you mean?
seal.
Of course there is. That's the umbrella term for the whole military that totally exists.
No. Yep, and they have a seals instead of saying like an American flag. It's a whole own seal, just like this is people who fight. The general guy talks about throughout American history they needed heroes, and how we need heroes now. And the general says, "Some wonder if there still are heroes." And then it smash cuts to outside of a kitchen, and the sound of a dish breaking. And then Larry the Cable Guy turns around.
Oh shit! No,
is this fucking health inspector?
And somebody says, "Does somebody say hero?" And Larry the Cable Guy is dressed up as a cowboy, but his hat and his whole outfit is red. You guys ready for a Larry the Cable Guy movie?
Absolutely.
Bryce, one question. Why is this on the bad movie list?
Larry takes the food and delivers to the customers. The woman pulls a very long hair out of her food. Larry says not to worry about it because he's using conditioner. Please note that Larry the Cable Guy has very short hair, and the hair is the length of mine.
I thought he was bald.
Yeah, I don't know where this hair came from if he's making that joke. So, I'm just saying we don't see his lower region throughout the entire movie. But hey,
if I had a burger and I found a Larry the Cable Guy pube in it, I'd see that as a bonus. I'd pay more, actually.
Yeah, honestly, I'd pay more.
Larry walks up to a woman and calls her sugar britches. She tells him that she's pregnant. Larry's excited and proceeds to get on the microphone that apparently feeds into the entire restaurant. So this restaurant gives heavy Texas Roadhouse vibes. And I've never seen Texas Roadhouse with a microphone system that feeds into an entire restaurant. So just so we're on the same page, Larry the Cable Guy's character is named Larry.
Oh,
is he playing himself?
Or is it just a coincidence?
Maybe. So I'll let you guys know now. I'm going to go over some of the actors and the characters. I only use one character name throughout this entire movie, mainly because of my stutter, and I don't want to say the actor's name. Because the names don't fucking matter, but outside of one. Larry then, still using the microphone, gets down on one knee and proposes to Karen, the woman carrying his child, who is clearly uncomfortable the entire time. He tells her to speak into the microphone so everyone can hear, then she proceeds to lean down into the microphone and says that it's not his baby. There's an actual record scratch just right there.
It's not your baby.
The restaurant is shocked. Larry is confused. A customer explains to Larry in a very rude way what is happening because he seems confused. And then Larry calls her fat. Then there's a legitimate, just sliding transition into a trailer park. A mailman is delivering mail in the trailer park. Two kids dressed as Native Americans run up and attack him with golf clubs. Bill Engvall is sitting in a lawn chair that is inside of a pool.
Of course he is, but...
He's drinking a beer with a friend. Also, Bill Engvall's character's name is Bill.
Of course it is.
Do you know the last movie we covered, it was written by Toby Keith. This was not written by Larry the Cable Guy. This is written for Larry the Cable Guy. Don't worry, there's plenty of bits in here that I guarantee he wrote. Super not funny. Bill's wife comes out of the trailer and yells at Bill. And they make some nagging wife joke that you've heard a million times. Then they make a dark murder-suicide joke that is somehow not funny. They somehow had a good setup, and they just don't use this joke to its full potential. Then we hard cut to Everett, who is played by DJ Quails. DJ Quails, I'm gonna stutter through, so I'm gonna call him Everett the entire time. Walking around his room with like the brickiest of cell phones you've ever seen. He's watching WWE on the TV. So the wall of his room rolls up. He's actually in a storage unit.
Oh.
It would have been a funny reveal if they didn't do it literally seconds after we meet the character in the room. So it's we meet him, we see all those things, then the wall rolls up. There's no time for us to like look around at all. And we're just immediately met with, oh, okay, he's in a storage unit. We got a lot of exposition between Victor, the guy who opened the door, and Everett. Victor is Everett's boss. Everett works as security at the storage unit place. He didn't know Everett was going to be living there. Everett was a cop for 4 days before driving through a nail salon with his cruiser.
Did they have a funny flashback to this, or was it?
No. They just said they just said it happened.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, disappointing.
It's a tell, don't show.
So we'll go over like the budget of this movie and what happened, like what all that later on. It's going to get weird. Victor tells Everett he has to be lookout for a guy who's been flashing waitresses at a cafe across the street. Apparently, the guy was last seen with a samurai sword. Everett carefully pushes a samurai sword back from behind some furniture with his foot. Everett goes to close the storage unit door and transitions to a grocery parking lot. That wasn't a bad transition. I like that one actually. That was really nice. That was really clean.
Is that +2 now?
That's 2 pluses so far. That's 2 more than the entirety of the Toby Keith movie. So
okay, yeah. All right, so we're on the up. It's uphill from here.
Larry and Bill are putting groceries in the back of Larry's car. Bill is trying to make Larry feel better about his lady problems. We also find out that Bill doesn't have to work because he sued Walmart.
But what a king. I'm sure that lawsuit went well for him.
I had an uncle that did that.
Apparently, he got hurt in Walmart, he sued him, and now he doesn't have to work. Larry, Bill, and Everett are apparently spending the weekend together on their annual trip. They don't really say what the annual trip is, but they're apparently spending the weekend together.
They're gay.
Then we just move on to the next scene. There's not really a whole lot just funny or anything of note in a lot of these scenes. Then we're cut to an army reserve where they are skeet shooting with everything Larry got for Karen. Everett pulls up in a big army truck, and then Larry and Bill go to Hooters.
Hell yeah.
Like, is it actually Hooters, or is it
It is
like, did they get the trademark for Hooters?
Actually Hooters. It is very important. It's somehow very important that we note that Larry and Bill like Hooters, because this comes up again for some fucking reason. Then we cut to a legitimate armed forces academy. Again, it doesn't say
the armed forces TM.
What armed forces?
Well, it's got to be all of them, so they all feel included.
The Pentagon is apparently requesting more men, but they are already running thin at the academy. So they realize they haven't gotten men from the Army Reserve down the highway. So they send his name is Sergeant Kilgore to go get them.
Oh!
Larry and Bill return from Hooters and find motherfucking Keith David waiting for them. Keith David proceeds to just fucking yell at them. Like, he goes hard. Turns out Larry, Bill, and Everett are part of the reserves. This is the first time we're hearing this, even though we've already seen them at the reserves, but they don't mention, okay, we're going to the reserves. Larry calls themselves Weekend Warriors. Part of me was like, is that disrespectful to the people who are actually in the reserves?
I don't think that's how the reserves work either. I'm pretty sure the reserves are still like active.
Larry, Bill, and Everett are shipped down to the Armed Forces Academy. Montage of them just sucking at every single army test. Just real bad. They're falling asleep in their bunks when Keith David comes in banging trash can lids together. Larry comes into the room after him and they make a shit joke. Keith David tells them they're being shipped off to Iraq. Larry calls Iraqi people carpet flyers and they don't use toilet paper.
You know, I read somewhere them carpet flyers don't even use toilet paper.
Count it, dipshit!
There's supplies being loaded up into planes, and holy shit, they have CGI planes, and they are like, I drew them with my hands. It's real bad.
Well, that's way cheaper than renting a plane.
Yeah.
These, dude, we have to go over what happens in this movie, because this budget, what they do with the budget is insane, because it doesn't make sense. Larry, Bill, and Everett are being briefed by Keith David when Everett starts to sing the Battle Hymn of the Republic.
Ooh!
Larry and Bill just join in, and they're just now singing in the middle
Not in front of Keith David.
In front of this plane hangar. And then Keith David calls one of them a mongoloid.
Whoa, what?
Whoa!
What the fuck?
And then they make a don't ask, don't tell joke.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, that's topical humor right there.
Go ahead.
One gay joke.
Yeah, go ahead and mark that down, guys, because you're going to keep marking them.
Give me a gay tally.
So then we cut to them riding in the plane. Everyone but the three main characters are asleep. Everett is talking about killing a man with his bare hands, like using the heart punch like Chuck Norris did. This is a quote. So they can't sleep on this plane. Therefore, the three of them get up and go lay down in a Jeep that is being transported on the plane. Then there's just a fart joke.
Who farted? So
I was watching this on Hulu, right? And apparently, I don't have the right Hulu subscription, so I got a bunch of ads during the movie. So whenever an ad pops up during the movie, I got like a 2-minute break from the movie. So this is me recommending watching shitty movies with commercial breaks, because they really are breaks for you, and you're gonna need it. The plane flies into a storm, shaking the plane and waking everyone on board but the stupid three of them who were in the Jeep, because apparently the suspension on the
I don't know.
It's a
Those
Jeep
Jeep
ad,
suspension. Famous Jeeps famously have the greatest suspension of all time.
Buy one right
They would never knock your fucking teeth loose if you fucking grip your teeth while you're in a ride.
Keith David goes searching for them. The pilots of the plane say they're overloaded and need to drop gear. Keith David's foot gets stuck in some netting around some cargo. The bay door is open, dropping the cargo and Keith David out of the plane.
I knew it was happening. I knew it.
Not Keith David.
The chain holding the Jeep in place snaps and the Jeep follows suit. Both the cargo and the Jeep have parachutes. Everyone's fine.
I thought they were just gonna die there.
That'd be a very short movie.
It was gonna be like Suicide Squad, where it just gets a whole new cast.
Yeah.
And then like actual good actors show up and finish the movie.
Yeah, and that's just a really incredible movie.
Larry wakes up to find the Jeep sitting in the middle of a desert. Note, he is not wearing the same thing he went into the Jeep with. He's wearing significantly less body armor. Larry starts freaking out because he realizes they're in Iraq, and goes to wake the other two who are in the back of the Jeep. They are spooning.
Okay,
a
wait.
literal second, don't ask, don't tell joke.
What in the name of Siegfried and Roy are you fellas doing?
Don't ask. Don't tell.
This has been like 5 minutes. They make the second one.
No, Bryce, with commercials, it's been at least 10 minutes.
Yeah. Whilst getting out of the Jeep, Everett steps on and breaks the only working radio they have. They eventually find Keith David unconscious among the cargo that landed beside the Jeep. Note, Keith David is wearing the correct thing we saw him in last.
Oh, okay.
They think he's dead, and they give him a burial. Then Everett pisses in a canteen at the funeral. That's important. I hate that's important, but that's important.
Okay, keeping a note.
Montage of them getting supplied by the cargo boxes around them ends with Larry the Cable Guy in a sleeveless version of the army uniform, and he says, "Let's get her done."
Get her done.
Oh,
that's his thing. That's his thing.
I gotta add the plus for the. He said does the thing.
I know these guys know, but for those of you at home who doesn't know what Larry the Cable Guy's catchphrase is, it's "Get her done."
My dad had a cigarette lighter that said that, and I used to sit there and annoy the fuck out of him by opening and closing it all day.
They get into and drive the Jeep forward to reveal the Jeep had landed on a sign that read, in English, "Mexico City, 500 kilometers." Then the Mexican hat dance song starts playing. Are you guys ready for more problematic stereotypes? They drive into an overly dirty gas station. They jump out and start fanning around with their M16s at the ready. They find a mural of a guy with a big mustache and a sombrero and call him Saddam Hussein.
Go ahead.
This is a Larry the Cable Guy line in this movie. They say that this mural looks like an Indian guy who works down at the Circle K. He's a red dot Indian, not a tomahawk Indian.
Kind of looks like that fella works the register down there at the Circle K. You know Rugburn?
You mean Raji?
Yeah, that little Indian fella. He's a red dot Indian, no, not a tomahawk Indian.
The Jeep continues on. Then they're lost. Larry is looking at a map around Baghdad and can't figure out how. Everett is ready to shoot somebody. Bill and Larry remind him that the rules of engagement and Geneva Conventions and that they cannot fire unless fired upon. He sees two guys walking on the road with a donkey. He cleans and levels his sight and fires at them. The two guys go down. The three of them run up to the guys, guns pointed at them. The guys stand with their hands up. The donkey is dead on the ground.
What the fuck?
This is horrible.
Cruelty.
The two guys speak Spanish between the two of them, calling the three idiot American soldiers. Way too chill the fact that they have 3 M16s pointed at them right now, and they were already fired at. Larry then tries to communicate just by getting louder. By the way, I'm just skipping over the fact that there's just some minor slurs being said. I don't want this video to be longer than it has to be.
Okay.
So the two gentlemen, they hatch a plan to use these three as a solution to their problems. Larry keeps trying to communicate with them, saying that they're going to give them freedom. The two guys respond back with freedoms and keep nodding their heads. Donkey then gets back up.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why the donkey was faking.
Bryce, that's one of the many rules of being shot at. You're supposed to play dead sometimes.
True.
So we cut back to Keith David's grave. He emerges from the grave and sees the sign.
Oh, I see the setup.
Yeah, he sees the sign and
You
realizes
didn't say
he's in
Tony
Mexico.
Award nominee. You didn't say Tony Award nominee Keith David.
The Tony
Who the fuck
Award
likes the
nominee
Tonys?
Keith David finds a canteen and pours it all over himself and drinks from it.
Oh no, not with the piss.
Yeah, and then he
I'm
realizes
having a
his
plus
piss
with
and gets more mad. And then we unfortunately cut back to Larry the Cable Guy. They're overlooking a town that's being overrun with guys with guns. There's an actual funny joke here where Larry the Cable can't see through the binoculars and realizes they have still the caps on him.
Larry convinces the others to help the people because he sees an attractive woman down there. They get it from behind the rock they were hiding behind. The rock like quivers.
They scare the Rock, Dwayne Johnson himself.
Yeah,
Quivers.
totally.
Larry the
That
Cable
means 0 out
Guy.
of 10. Dwayne the Rock Johnson would never agree to be in a film, in which case he was slightly bad or looked upon negatively.
That's actually true. Isn't that in his contract?
So they start blaring country music as their jeep rolls into town. They open fire at the armed guys in town with the huge fucking machine guns they have.
Where did they get country music from?
It's apparently like on the jeep. I guess.
Yeah, don't you know?
It's
Yeah,
the
obviously,
army.
all American Jeeps come predisposed with country music in it.
Remind me during every single gunfight to let you guys know how many people we see get shot, okay? So we open fire. The armed guys are able to escape because every single shot is missed. Larry's able to manage to capture one of the guys. People in town come out and cheer. The attractive woman comes out, cue pretty music being played as soon as she walks out, and kisses Larry on the cheek. We cut over to Keith David, thank fucking God. He comes up to the gas station where the others were at before. They see two guys walk up, driving a car. He can't speak Spanish, but he asks for a ride. The two guys in the car hatch a plan to take Keith David to their house, so they let him ride with them.
So Larry
Put
and
up the
Bill
IMDb right here.
are shooting the shit.
Larry
in
the
the
Cable
barn
Guy is immortal.
when like the guy that talked to them before comes in and gets them and takes them to a party.
When they get there, they meet a guy who actually speaks English. The guy keeps trying to tell them that they're in Mexico, but they keep getting interrupted or misunderstood by Larry and Bill.
Oh, now, Bill, you speak English? Of course, many of us do. Your country is very close to ours.
That's right, our people are friends in freedom and democracy.
All right. We're also very close together, literally.
We gotta get this guy a map.
The attractive woman walks in, cue the pretty music again, and speaks English to them. This is the first time we're seeing her speak. We've seen her like 3 or 4 times already, but this is the first lines now.
This is a country movie with women in it. And need very little lines.
Yeah. After talking to them, she leaves with her father, but as she's leaving, she turns around and looks back at Larry. It's in slow motion.
Do you get it yet? Do you guys get it? That's the love interest. Do you understand yet?
So Everett is trying to interrogate the English-speaking prisoner to no avail because it's Everett. Larry walks in and it says another fucking slur. Larry joins in on the interrogation. Based on the dumb questions they ask the prisoner realizes that they think they're in Iraq. He tells them that they're not in Iraq. Larry runs outside and has a panic attack while surrounded by a bunch of Mexican stereotypes. There's a mariachi band. There's people hitting a piñata. It's real bad. Larry, Bill, and Everett try to talk it out, try to figure out what they're gonna do. There's multiple prison rape jokes are made, just like one after another. They try to reason out that the guys they ran out of town are actually terrorists, and that they didn't actually fully invade Mexico by being there. That night, Everett finds a cannon, like an old cannon.
Yeah, Mexico. Come and take it.
Yeah.
Put the flag here.
Larry goes on a walk with the attractive woman, and that's when we find out the leader of the bandits' name is Carlos Santana.
Oh my God! Wait a minute. Is this actually Carlos Santana?
No, it's not our actual Carlos Santana.
Oh.
Wait, oh my god. Wait. Okay, I just want to make sure that Carlos Santana is in fact the lead guitarist of the band Santana.
Yes.
Yeah. Then we cut to the bandits' base, I guess. It's like a bar, but it's like also like a compound.
As all good bar compounds should be.
Danny Trejo is sitting on a throne of hubcaps.
Of course.
Chains
What a
and
fucking
machetes.
legend.
Get it?
Well,
I was gonna
now
say
I know
his
for a
machete.
fact he's going to fucking die.
You get it? You get the machete part?
Yeah,
Yeah, because he played.
I love Spy Kids.
He's a Spy Kids.
They announce a new act on the stage and throw a kidnapped, legitimate Jeff Dunham onto the stage, and he has his like jalapeno puppet.
You know what? They would love that.
Yeah, they would love that.
They would love that. And then he immediately goes on stage and does just racist Mexican jokes and
Bryce, he's a ventriloquist. Racism is all they have.
then he calls the entire audience gay.
Yeah, let's go, Jeff.
I'm not sure about you guys. If I was being held hostage by a very armed, dangerous gang, and they were like, do stand-up comedy, the first thing I'm gonna do is like, you're all dumb and gay. Yes, and then Danny Trejo takes a gun out and fires it and shoots the puppet.
Not the puppet, they should have shot Jeff.
So yeah, Danny Trejo's character is Carlos Santana. They make a joke. He's not the same as the other Carlos Santana. He's a different Carlos Santana. One of the bandits from town returns and reports that they failed pillaging. Said they failed pillaging because hundreds of American soldiers showed up capturing one of them. Danny Trejo has some other men kill the returning bandit. His right hand asks if they're going to go to destroy the town. Danny Trejo says that he doesn't like to work on weekends, and tonight is karaoke night despite the fact that they did stand-up comedy as an act before this. Oh yeah, then Danny Trejo sings I Will Survive.
At first I was afraid, I was petrified. Kept thinking I could never live without you by my side. But then I spent so many nights thinking how you did me wrong. I grew strong.
Larry returns to the living quarters in the morning to find Bill and Everett had a party there last night. Everett is in a dress. Larry says he wasn't with the woman last night, but he also wasn't in the living quarters? Where the fuck did Larry sleep last night? They decide to stay in this town to help until help arrives. Then they're told that the town's well doesn't work. They say they try to help the town. There's a montage of them trying to help the town and learning Mexican culture for like the first couple parts of the montage, and then there's just like the end of the montage is Larry convincing the local bar owner to turn his tavern into a Hooters.
Oh, as he should.
Yeah.
Okay,
+2 to Hooters.
And I'm gonna have you guys take a quick break from this because I had a break right here. There's a small commercial break I had. And I want to talk about this ad that I saw that just made me feel weird. There was a commercial for an AT&T where there was a restaurant that served phones like food. And the whole time I was just waiting for someone to take a phone and just, you know what I mean?
Right into it, yeah.
I was waiting for it and it just never happened. I'm like, oh. Larry, Bill, and Everett returned to the cargo that you dropped out of the plane to get more like medicine. And they find that Keith David's grave was empty. This next scene I watched and I'm like, I kept thinking, like, I don't know how I feel about it. It made me feel really weird. So we cut to the outside of a house. The guys who picked up Keith David say that he's waking up. The next 30 seconds heavily implies that they were going to rape Keith David. And then he beats them up. And then Keith David emerges from the front door in red lingerie and lipstick.
Okay, let's go.
Then he rides away on a scooter dressed like that with a army helmet on. This isn't like improving the movie.
What the fuck are you saying?
I say that sounds really good, Bryce. Fuck you.
I'm adding a +50 for this.
Bill is at the local Hooters trying to get the radio working again. The bartender asks why he doesn't just use a phone. And then Bill is shocked they have a phone. The bartender drives Bill out of town to where the phone is so he can call his wife.
So they don't have phones.
Oh, so they don't have a phone.
Yeah.
It's apparently no phones in town, but there was one right outside of town.
That's where they should be. Yeah.
When he's on the phone with his wife, the bartender tries getting Bill's attention to no avail. Suddenly the line cuts out. And Bill hangs up the phone confused and turns around and comes face to face with Danny Trejo holding a big knife with a cut phone cord.
Oh my god.
In a truck. Danny Trejo asks Bill how many men they have in town. Bill refuses to answer because he's a Chad.
Hell yeah.
A large man on the other side of Bill caresses his face with a closed hand fan. Danny Trejo says his nephew has taken a shine to Bill. Bill says some homophobic shit, that it's weird that a gang leader would embrace gay people. And then Danny Trejo says you can't fire someone for being gay, that's discrimination, you'll get sued.
Oh! Alright.
Technically true.
And I'm like, why is Danny Trejo's character the most likable character in this movie?
Because it's fucking Danny Trejo.
No, remember this. You gotta remember what the audience this is for. That's supposed to make him evil.
So the
Yeah,
nephew-
these are jokes put in by the writers, and Larry's like, yeah, that's how you know he's the bad guy.
His nephew's a queer, and all the whole audience goes, "Oh, that's a great joke."
So the nephew runs his hand through Bill's hair, and Bill starts telling Danny Trejo just everything.
So that scene was somehow the most homophobic and also the least homophobic scene so far in this movie.
It's for all audiences.
Yeah,
this is the
really,
most. This is the greatest, most successful movie of all time.
This is the great equalizer of movies.
Yeah.
Back in town, Larry is on another walk with the attractive one. Apparently, the only thing this woman likes to do is go on walks through town, because they're not doing anything else in this movie. Everett has his arm stuck in a cannon. Larry helps him out. Everett explains how he can't get it to work. After a failed shot, Everett sticks his arm back into the cannon. As he's reaching in, gunshots ring out through the town. Larry runs up towards the gunfire. Everett is stuck in the cannon again. Danny Trejo puts him in the middle of town and tells the people of the town to pay him. Larry comes out and tells him to leave. Danny Trejo says that he found Bill trying to call his wife. Larry is confused by this. Bill says if he can't check in, she gets moody. Danny Trejo calls his wife a bitch, and that Bill needs a sense of boundaries. Why is Danny Trejo the most reasonable person?
I love the I hate my wife jokes just in the middle of this. He's like, yeah, your wife sounds like a bitch, man. Like,
Danny Trejo says, you can't kill us all. And then Larry's like, okay, then I'll just kill you. And Danny Trejo's like, fuck. So then Danny just lets Bill go. Like, all right, here you go.
You drive a hard bargain.
Bill gets up and runs to Larry. Larry threatens that reinforcements are coming. Danny says that he's bluffing. That's when Keith David, now fully dressed, drives into town and up to Larry and Bill. He starts telling him off, saying that there's no one else in Mexico but them, and then he insults Mexico. Danny Trejo says not to insult his country and puts a gun to Keith David's face. Keith David has finally realizes the situation. He literally just walked in between them. So I'm trying to figure out. So Keith David is the sergeant. He's supposed to be like this badass sergeant everybody trusts. How did he not realize that just like 20 armed dudes were like surrounding these two soldiers and was like, I'm just gonna go yell at these guys real quick.
I mean, that's a pretty average thing you'd get the U.S. military in, I think.
Everett sprints up with this big bazooka under his arm. Larry tries to take it from him because Everett is pointing bazooka at men like 6 to 8 feet in front of him. Whilst they're fighting over it, the bazooka goes off straight up into the air. As it fires straight up into the air, everyone scatters. Because then you see the missile. It's like literally they filmed it. They probably just tossed the missile up because it goes just in the shot. The missile goes down the well and explodes. Danny Trejo and the crew fire at Larry and the gang while they drive away. Larry and everyone emerge from a building now fully armed as the last vehicle leaves town. Again, open firing, nobody hit anybody. As they watch the last people leave town, the well explodes again. This time, the water skyrocketing out of it.
Yeah, I knew it. Predicted for the 3rd time.
The attractive woman comes out and thanks him for fixing the well. Keith David comes to on the truck with Danny Trejo at gunpoint. Then they make a second "this is my nephew" joke, except this time with Keith David. Larry and Bill are back in town debating whether or not to even go save Keith David. The attractive woman enters, cue pretty music, and asks Larry if he should even go at all. He says he has to save the sergeant, and then they drive off.
Maybe he'll learn to love Mexico, and it'll be a really opening experience.
Maybe he'll do the great American thing where you go to a third world country and you go, you know what, this is better than the U.S. and you just live there for an extended period of time.
And then you get captured by the state security forces and killed.
At the bandit base, Danny Trejo says he's not worried about the town because it's wrestling night. They have a full wrestling ring in the middle of the base with the professional wrestler. So he has the professional wrestler wrestle his right-hand man and just another guy there. Larry, Bill, and Everett, all decked out in military uniforms, approach the base. Everett runs off first. Larry and Bill continue with their plan. Then we have, I think, it's my personal favorite joke of the entire movie. I actually laughed for this one, and I'm very proud of that, because it's very good. We see a guard at the front gate. Bill walks up wearing a Hawaiian shirt and khakis, carrying a map. He's like, I think I took a wrong turn off the interstate. Can you help me out with this? He looks at the guard looks at the map. He's like, oh, you have to go take a turn over there, and then he hits him over the head with a rock.
Okay, I like it.
The fact that you remember he was in full military uniform, and like the next shot he's in this was very funny to me. Larry then sneaks in by just falling over a fence. Meanwhile, we see a guy testing electrified torture equipment near Keith David, who's tied to a chair. Keith David says he's been tortured in Vietnam, so they can't break him. A microphone falls from the ceiling and hangs in front of him. Danny Trejo's nephew starts singing. A guy puts a gun to Keith David's head and says it's a duet.
Keith David sings a song with the nephew.
Well, I don't know if it's all true, 'cause you got me and baby, I got you. Babe, I got you, babe. I got you, babe.
Bill sneaks around the compound, finds two guys who are on watch, and then he just does a very racist impersonation of a Mexican man as he walks by them.
Viva Mexico!
So we cut back to the wrestling ring. The wrestler is inside destroying those two guys. Danny Trejo asks who else can step up to the ring. Everett, in full wrestling tights and a mask, swings down from the rafters and into the ring. A guy enters an interrogation room where Keith David is singing with the nephew still. He tells him about the wrestling, and everyone but Keith David and the nephew leave. Keith David and the nephew finish the song. The nephew goes for a kiss on Keith David, and Larry breaks a glass bottle over his head. And lets Keith David go. Larry leaves up to Everett. Keith David spots dynamite on the corner of the room. Outside, Bill is putting sugar into the gas tanks of the vehicles. So he's putting sugar in the gas tank, and Keith David walks up, and he's like, no, try this, and hands him dynamite. So we cut back to the wrestling ring. Everett is just losing the match horribly. When suddenly, he just starts winning on his own.
Good.
And then he just beats the professional wrestler
on
his own. While he was celebrating, he takes his luchador mask off. Danny Trejo has his men pull guns on Everett. Larry runs in with warning shots into the ceiling. Everett's able to hide behind Larry. Danny Trejo says he can't kill all of them. Larry agrees and says he'll just kill Danny Trejo. Danny Trejo's like, damn it, I keep falling for that. As they're starting to walk out, the vehicles outside start blowing up. They run out of the building. Bill and Keith David drive their Jeep up through the front gate. Everett and Larry jump on board and they escape. Danny Trejo says, who would destroy our cars? That's vandalism. Danny Trejo, he calls for horses and for them to get Big Bertha. They arrive back in town. Larry starts talking to the attractive woman again. Everett describes to himself how that Larry and the attractive woman are going to have sex that night.
Hell yeah!
Okay.
Good.
Keith David, Bill, and Larry argue about leaving the town and Mexico. Larry alone wants to stay. Larry has a speech to them backed by militaristic music. Then he draws a line in the dirt and does a cross the line if you're with me. So he has the three of them standing in front of him. And the first thing he does, he goes to Keith David. Okay, this is just a small note about this type of scene. I would start with like the easiest person to come over to join him. His superior officer, even though it would have made more sense and like story-wise for Keith David to be the last one.
By doing that, we kind of lose all the tension on the will they won't they. So anyway, they just all join Larry. So good. Danny Trejo and the gang roll up in town riding horses. And oh yeah, Max, you were right, they have a tank.
Yep. You're not gonna call it Big Bertha without having a tank.
They fire the tank into the village. Then there's a shot of Danny Trejo riding a white stallion in front of a tank. Oh, the fuck! Why is Danny Trejo the coolest person in this movie?
It's Danny Trejo.
Next question.
They trade fire with the tank. Everett and Larry separately run off to find something to take out the tank. Larry rolls up with the cannon and lights it. By the way, Everett just kind of does nothing.
Good.
Yeah, he wrestled somebody. He's done.
Yeah, he got his moment. Yeah, he can get two moments.
He's under fire and it's taking forever, so he kicks it to have it go faster, and he breaks one of the wheels off of it, and as it's falling, it fires and hits and blows up the tank.
I'm gonna come.
That wasn't me. That wasn't me.
Gunfire is traded. Nobody is hit. The townsfolk see that they're not hitting anyone, so they emerge behind Larry, carrying revolvers and pitchforks, and they decide to run the bandits out of town. And suddenly, now that the bandits don't have the men advantage, they run away. Larry goes to the church where the townsfolk are hiding and finds out the attractive woman was taken by Danny Trejo from her father. Larry asks the father if he has any other daughters. The father's like, he points out one of his other daughters. Larry looks at the other one and he's like, I'm gonna go get Maria back. And
what a fucker!
So was she ugly or was she young? Is the question.
It didn't really cut to another person.
Oh, okay.
It was the same shot. So we didn't see.
Okay, right. Something tells me this was TVMA, but it was originally like R. There was probably a bit there that got cut out.
Yeah. So Danny Trejo has the attractive woman hostage. He just casually walks up to Larry, who's just standing in the middle of the street. And he doesn't see him, I guess. So they point the guns at each other, and the attractive woman just moves behind Larry and away from Danny Trejo. So he just loses his only hostage immediately. So all the stakes are just gone in like 3 seconds. So Danny Trejo pulls the hammer back on his revolver, and then it's shot out of his hand. And we look over and it's either a sniper and a helicopter. And he's like, well, it's gonna take more than one helicopter to take me down. Then 2 more helicopters come out from the outside of the town. And he's like, God damn it, I keep falling for it. And as Danny looks back at Larry, Larry punches him in the face. Larry and then Maria kiss as U.S. Army soldiers flood the town.
Where we literally invade Mexico. I'm pretty sure that's against a few treaties.
So now, guys, we have 4 minutes left in this movie. I get the last commercial break now. Why would I stay? So we come back from commercials, and Everett tells Larry that Bill got shot. I don't know when, but he got shot.
Bill, finally, someone got shot.
Larry rushes over, and Bill says that he's dying, and to tell his wife to not take his stuff. He looks at the doctor. The doctor says he got shot in the ass, and he'll be fine.
I knew it was coming. I knew that's what was coming.
Someone always gets shot in the ass. That's how they go.
The colonel walks over. He tells him that Bill's wife kept calling the Pentagon until the Delta Force came down and saved them. Central America Affairs shows up. He says that they might not be in trouble as long as they all cooperate. So we cut to a news broadcast. They said that the War on Terror Operation Sombrero was successful. Also, among those arrested is the singer Carlos Santana.
No! Wait, they arrested the wrong Carlos Santana?
We cut back to the first scene of the movie. The general guy finishes his speech asking if there are any heroes. He says there's believe there are, and Keith, David, Everett, Bill, and Larry walk onto the stage. They're each given a medal one at a time, and every time they're given a medal, it then cuts to what they go on to do. Keith David is given a medal. He opens up a boot camp workout business in Miami.
Good for him.
Everett is given a medal. He's on the front page of Wrestler Monthly, is known as Carne Asada.
Good. That's a good name.
Bill is given a medal. He hugs the general. He lives in a mansion in Beverly Hills. A note says he sued the Mexican government for his injuries.
I was waiting for it.
Larry is given a medal. The general says, I wish I had 100 men like you. Larry's like, okay. And then it cuts to him. He now owns a quintana in Mexico.
No, Cantina.
Cantina? Cantina, whatever.
Santana's Cantana.
Santana's what? Cantina.
So they cut to he's like on the outside porch of his cantina, and it's very clearly as bad of a green screen as I'm standing in front of right now. And then it cuts to one as we see Danny Trejo is arrested. He after finishes rehabilitation, he goes on to have a successful career. And it cuts to him on stage with the jalapeno puppet doing. He says, "Are you ready to sing?" And he's like, "Yes, I'm ready to sing." And then he sings another song.
Mr. Chile, would you like to sing a song? Yes. Why don't you sing something by Carlos Santana? Okay. Oye, como va?
And then the credits are both a dance sing-along to that song as well as bloopers from the movie.
Yeah.
So it's
I love movies where they add bloopers to
that movie had such a depressing end. I really needed something to make me happy.
Yeah, I know. I'm surprised the villains won. That's weird.
Okay, so I have a lot of things that I did while doing the research on this movie. As discussed before, this movie has a 5% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. 5. That's out of 100. 5.
That's a pretty good score for people who don't know what they're talking about.
It made $8.7 million in the box office. I tried to look up the budget. Couldn't fucking find one. The only budget I found was on this like niche website. It said the budget was $12.
It was.
So guys, they made a huge profit on this fucking movie for a budget of $12.
I'm shocked that there wasn't a second one.
Also, shout out to Frank Scheck of the Hollywood Reporter. His review said this movie isn't funny enough to justify its existence. So this was Delta Farce, guys. How many Larrys out of Cable Guys?
Hold on, wait. I have my tally here. Okay, hold on. We're at 72 Larrys out of 100. That's a pretty good score.
Pretty good. That's a pretty good amount of Larrys.
Not bad.
I think it's a pretty solid score.
I grew up, unfortunately, with a lot of country movies because that's my dad's favorite genre. So I was forced.
Oh, so this is just trauma. It really is a good movie.
So I'm gonna give it. I'll give this one 5 Larrys for 10 Cable Guys.
Okay, that's a pretty good solid score.
So if you guys have any suggestions you want to see me fucking suffer through, go ahead and put it in the comments. If you three want to see me go do any movies,
More.
I already recommended one to you.
Yeah, there's some already on the list. Some been added to the wheel.
All right, Bryce. If we're gonna end this, you got to do it more jazzy. I'm gonna play something. You do jazzy. Okay, you ready? Go.
Jazzy, go. Good night, everybody.
Good night.